Good morning, yo. So I'm going to explain to you how it feels like doing calisthenics at 25 and having been in the game for like a pretty long time. And what the difference is, between someone who was like 15, 16, just turning out his first corner around calisthenics. It's very different because when you're 15, 16, your perspective of life it's still so much smaller. Especially since you're still living with your parents, it's very different. The fact that I could just don't think about consequences like injuries or what happens whenever I get injured pretty badly. It's like, for example, I live with my parents. I break my leg. It doesn't matter. My parents will still make food for me. They will still provide for me. Once you're a bit older and you get those like serious, more riskier injuries, it feels like sort of partly destroying a part of the journey for like a big journey, but also losing stability. And that's something I have to come like to terms with because, of course, I'm older. I'm 25. I need to think about whatever the fuck I'm doing with my life. And the thing is, whenever you do get older, it feels like the responsibilities grow. And of course, I try my best, not to think about that too much. Because, for example, if I do a handstand on like a fucking high bar, um, imagine if I fall down and I break my leg, you know. I have to stay at home, still have to feed my dog, have to walk my dog, still have to buy groceries, do my own stuff. Of course, you can ask people to help, but most people don't want that. They want to provide for themselves. And that's like one aspect, like of training as an older calisthenics athlete. Of course, I say older, but you should realize 25 is still a bit older than someone who is 15. I started out like when I was like 15 and end of 15, 16, just turning into 16. Um, what you also should know whenever you're 25, it feels like progress grows slower. But it's not necessarily that the progress grows slower, it's just that you've started hitting that point within calisthenics where there are just skills that take a shit long time. The progression within the beginning, it goes so fast. That's always why people love calisthenics within the beginning. They love calisthenics the first 1 to 2 years whenever they're doing the sport, and then there comes the skills that take longer than that, and then they quit, or they almost hit it there and then they quit as well. But that's a very big difference because I used to train for skills that it took like a month, to skill like achieve. Like if you dedicated a month, it would have been achieved. For me personally, when I started out with calisthenics, I did it in the summer, and I learned a human flag within half an hour. I learned my muscle up within a couple of weeks. It was a shit form, but doesn't matter. I learned a handstand also within 4 weeks. Not like perfect hold, but I had a hold like between 5 and 10 seconds every now and then, which is considered a hold. I learned the back lever, learned some front lever shit form, but still, I made progress and it was fun. And now I'm stuck at that point where I'm training for full planche. I'm training for uh, front lever touch, but white touch. Despite that, I don't even have like a good close grip touch. But I'm still training for it. And those skills, there are skills that it takes such a long time. It's like almost a year before you make progress or actually get into it. Before you hit that year, you're not even close to it, to getting it. And that's very different. Going from unlocking a skill every 1 to 4 weeks to unlocking a skill a year or in 2 years. Of course, every now and then you do unlock some smaller stuff. Like for example, you can do already handstand. You unlock a one arm handstand uh, because you already practiced it, and then you do it on a boso ball, which is also very different. Um, the difference between the skills that you learn is it's so big between the start and the end, and that's where most people fail. Um, what else is different at 25 doing calisthenics instead of 19? Um, I would also say mm, most people expect you to be strong whenever you answer the question of how long have you been training. How long have you been doing calisthenics, the sport? If you say like something between 5 to 10 years plus, they instantly assume, oh, okay, that's why you're that strong. You're instantly gifted. No, like hell no. Calisthenics is a very harsh sport. um, if you go on after several injuries, that's when you get better at the sport. And people don't realize that. They think that like as long as you keep doing it, you will become better. No, it's something that it like fucks with your mind. It destroys your mind literally, because the best example I could give you is from me, like the planche. I've been training it for like, let's say I started out within 2017. Do you know how long that is? It's like almost a decade ago that I started out this journey, and I still don't have the damn skill fully unlocked. And of course, I had injuries, I had life, I had my study, I had almost dropping out, I had moving out on my own without my parents consenting it, big fight, and eventually you have other stuff that comes around, injuries, bills that you have to pay, work that needs to be done. Uh, and it feels like time goes by so fast because time is a bitch. Like, I'm imagining that it's like almost 10 years ago that I started out my first calisthenics moves, which is crazy. But all I can say about being older as a calisthenics athlete at the end is just continue. Don't think about what everyone else say. Oh, you've already been doing it for that long. Why are you only able to do this or only able to hold that? They don't know your journey. Um, Only you know what you've been through and why you're at that point in calisthenics, at that point or that age of your life, and no one else can judge you. If you've been doing the sport for 10 years plus and you can do like barely a front lever and you have some good muscle ups, you can do some good pull ups, who are they to judge? They don't know what you've been through. And let's be honest, if you can do some pull ups and some muscle ups, you're still better or stronger than most people walking out there. Most average people, then they cannot even do a pull up, a single pull up. So, all in all, be happy with the progress. That's what you really have to learn. You have to learn to accept the progress and be happy with it. Because if you're not going to be happy with it, eventually, like every now and then, you're not going to last pretty long within the sport. Trust me. As someone who's been there a long time and have seen so many people quit the sport, stop with the sport, um, I've seen hundreds of athletes so far. Because trust me, you meet a lot of people once you do calisthenics for a long while. And if you don't truly love it and love what you do and enjoy it, you're gonna have ups and downs and you'll be out of the game pretty easily. But all I can say at the end is, or like the second, because I already said that, but doesn't matter which age you are, Doesn't matter where, in which point of your life you are. It doesn't matter if you're fat, skinny. You see those athletes now that are like very fat and they still are stronger than about like 90% of the athletes. So if you're anorexic, very skinny, use it. Use it to your ability. Be that skinny motherfucker that is very strong. Don't mind it. Don't think like, oh, I see this on social media, I need to be that. I see those 15-year-olds doing full planche, but I'm 25 out without a planche. Skip that. Just do whatever you want at your age and be proud of where you are in the time of or like at the age that you are, you know. If you enjoyed this video and you watched it till the end, consider subscribing. I'm trying to make more videos about calisthenics, but I will do my best to stay up or to keep uploading. Okay, see you in the next video.